Hello everyone and welcome to the Hints of Hisui podcast. I'm Wolf Taiko and I'm once again here with Kane Rank 5, Nurse Ethy, and Tomix9 Tomix.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
What's up, everybody?
I'm I'm doing fine. I mean, this weekend has been... I started working on a project that I'll probably get into when it is soon.
Some of these days. One of these days.
I've been so busy, like oh my dude, just had a lot of stuff going on this weekend.
Yeah, no, today was Mother's Day at the time of recording, so I had to hang out with my family. I know, the worst.
Oh, that sucks, doesn't it?
I know.
Couldn't because my mom has COVID, so...
Oh.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom! I'm sorry that I can't actively be near you because I don't want to get my patients sick.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
We
Yeah,
agreed,
what games?
We agreed we're gonna do stuff next weekend, so...
That'll be
yeah,
nice.
What games have y'all been up to recently?
Ooh.
Did you want to leap away, Andy?
Yeah.
I guess I can. The only fan game I've played recently, I played 2 hours of, well, no, an hour and a half of Pokerogue. Because the first 30 minutes of the stream, Pokerogue was down. And it was funny, because like 30 minutes before stream, because I know there's been server issues, I checked Pokerogue, and I'm like, alright, it's up, right? Alright. And then I went into the stream, I was like, what's up? I think the peak I got was like 13 viewers, because, you know, Pokerogue is a really popular category at the moment. I was like, yeah, we're gonna play Pokerogue. I went onto the website, and then it, like, crashed, and I'm like, I literally checked this 30 minutes ago, what the hell is going on? And so, yeah, I just played Pokedoku for 30 minutes, and then it finally went back online. So, yeah, I played a little bit of Pokerogue. I mean, honestly, I enjoyed it probably more than I thought I would, because... I've been pretty public that I'm not the biggest fan of the Pokemon combat system. I think it's pretty slow, it's a glorified game of rock, paper, scissors, to put it nicely.
No, that's pretty accurate.
So that's why I was like, how is this, like, just doing Pokemon battles, and that's all you ever do in the entire game? How the hell am I gonna enjoy that? Like, it just didn't seem like my cup of tea, but... I don't know, I ended up really enjoying it from what I've done so far. I can totally see how it's gonna become annoying as hell later on. Because, like, Krakerwat, who was in my chat, said that he made it to the final battle and then lost. I'm like, God, I would hate it if that happened.
That's wild.
Yeah. That's my one issue with Pokerogue, is that the main, like the non-daily runs, the normal runs are just way too long, and you'll spend like a whole day playing a run and then die on level 190. It's like, what did I do today? I lost a Pokerogue run. Yeah.
That's crazy. I have not made it personally like super deep. I haven't, because I feel like it's like a long time commitment, right? Again, we're talking about like you're taking a while, and obviously, well, not obviously, but like I personally am not like super big into like roguelites type thing, but I also like totally respect it for like what it's become. I think it is like, honestly, if I had to dig back deep into my trenches of my memory, I would say that it might honestly be the most popular fan game of all time. Like it popped off to that degree.
I don't think that it surpassed Uranium yet. It's close though.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah,
because I don't
but
think
Uranium also had the help of a legal case. Like,
yeah. No, that, I think, is the major reason why it's popular.
But if you like go on Twitch right now, for example, and search Pokerogue, how many people are watching? There's currently...
Yeah, doesn't it have its own category now?
Oh.
It's got its own category. There's
even Abstract has its own.
Oh,
even Abstract has its own category. I don't think a category is that big of a, oh, it's made it, because... I mean...
Yes, but like, its category has made it, like...
Oh, yeah.
I saw a stream with 15,000 viewers, I think, playing Pokerogue.
Yeah, Ludwig, streamed Pokerogue.
Yeah.
Like, I remember
Alpharad made a
shocked
video.
when I saw that. And that has like 1 million views.
Yep, 1.1 million.
Like, just...
Yeah, I think it's just crazy, like how like a testament to how big the game has gotten is that literally the servers have gone down. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's how crazy it is.
Oh, 100%. The other game I played recently, I put... well, actually, I'm gonna finish off Pokerogue before I get onto it. It's like, with the long runs, now Prophecy's Iron Memory looks like a cakewalk in just the length. Because that only takes like a stream. But, okay. The other game that I played recently, I put 20 hours into it. It's just a visual novel. What was it? Mashiro Symphony Sana Edition?
I'm gonna Google that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a new
no,
one for
Never
me.
heard of that.
No, it's just, basically, I'm making my own visual novel, as this is my first time publicly talking about it. I've talked to a little bit about it to Ethy in private. It's gonna be like a spiritual successor to Abstract. And like, sorta pseudo continuing the story of Levi and Irina. Sort of. But it's still gonna be its own thing. It's gonna be an actually released game. So it's not gonna be using Pokemon IP or any of that.
Nice.
That's cool.
So that's why I've been playing, like, I looked up on Steam, like, recent visual novels that came out to, like, play and, you know, get some inspiration and, like, feel for what they're like. And so, yeah, that's mainly why I play Mashiro Symphony. It's not anything special, it's just a romance visual novel. There's not really much to comment about it.
I guess if you want to go down the line, Cade, what have you been playing recently?
Ooh, okay, so in terms of fan games, the two fan games that I've been playing is Ash and Frost, which we talked about in the last episode. How much I love that game so much, and it's just so fun to play. I haven't played it a ton. The game I've more been focusing on is called Pokemon Atlas, which is actually a fan game that's completely in Spanish, and it's really interesting. There's like a few different reasons why I started playing. The first one is like the game honestly is like one of the best fan games I've seen in terms of like visuals. Like it is gorgeous. It is so good. The mapping and like the tiles are like amazing. It's so polished. There's like I think this is like a pretty big hallmark in terms of the Spanish fan game community, but there's like portraits of like the characters when they're talking and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Another reason that I kind of wanted to play it was just like I have this kind of like on and off thing of like me wanting to like actually become fluent in Spanish. So this is like my latest like thing into like foray into that. And I like, if you've watched the streams where I'm playing it, I like have my phone out and like I just have it here. There's like, you can use the Google Translate app to literally like basically take a snapshot of like the dialogue and then it'll just like live translate it for you. So I've mostly been relying on that, but I have like, you know, a little bit of, you know, background Spanish knowledge, and I think that playing the game is definitely like improving my Spanish. And the game itself is really good. We just last stream that I've played it, we got really into like the story, and crazy stuff is going on. So kind of great.
Yeah.
Kind of
For
really
the
cool.
visuals, like, I popped into your stream last night, and I saw the main menu, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at their
Yeah.
Twitter right now, and oh my goodness,
yeah.
this is gorgeous.
Yeah, like if you can get around, like, honestly, I think the game is so beautiful that there will eventually be an English translation. It's like someone's gonna do it because it's
They just have to watch
looks
your
that
streams.
good. Yeah, and it plays that good too.
Is there
in
any-
terms? Oh, what were you gonna say?
Is there anything, like, special gameplay related to it?
Not really. It's kind of your like, you know, normal Pokemon adventure. I think it really tries to excel in terms of just doing the Pokemon formula like really well.
I'm on the Twitter and it looks like they have some mini games.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Yeah,
gift
yeah.
of,
there's
of
a
like
few
serving
minigames.
drinks.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't done that because I'm not sure like how much, like, because I know there was one minigame that's like timed, and I'm like, well, I don't know how much I'm gonna need to rely on like my language
Oh, right.
Mm.
to like actually play the minigame, you know? So
Oh yeah, that's
I I don't know, but like again, the game is just so polished, and like I can very much appreciate every like everything that's gone into it, even with like the language barrier there.
Mm.
That's really
Um,
cool.
Yeah.
That's
again,
something
like,
I
if
just
you-
love about Pokemon in general. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No.
That's something I love about Pokemon in general is just how like they like it is such a global phenomenon and something that like transcends language and honestly transcends culture is just how like anyone can look at Pikachu and say that's Pikachu, and if you are also agreeing with me that Pikachu's incredible, then we could probably be friends.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's such
but
a
sometimes you meet
unifying
people-
force.
it's also crazy just to see like the fan game community thrive in other countries.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't think people understand this. Like, the Spanish fan game community, I'm pretty sure, is larger than the English
Mm.
fan
Mhm.
game community.
I
And
believe
people
that.
don't understand that or believe that. And if you want
I can understand.
if you want to know and like actually see that, go look at the Spanish fan game direct. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like a lot of those games look super polished.
There's also a pretty big French side of the
Yeah.
fan game community. I mean, they're
Yes.
making Pokemon Studio and PSDK,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which after toying around, I have turned onto that side.
I mean, yeah, I think yeah, I agree.
And especially, like, there's only, like, one problem at the moment, and that there is a disconnect from Pokemon Studio and, like, the tiled, like, that kind of version of making a fan game. And then you have to go into RMXP to do the eventing. There's a little bit of disconnect there, but they are working on, like, making eventing more fluid through their systems, so...
Yeah.
Nice.
I guess going back to to what I was talking about, the only I guess if we're finishing up what games I've been playing, the only non-Pokemon game that I've been playing, I guess that's not like an NHL franchise mode or like Overwatch, which I don't think I've even played either of those in the past week, is Breath of the Wild. Go on,
Oh.
flame me. I understand. I've never played the game until now.
I haven't played it at all, so I can't flame you.
Yeah, me either.
Well,
Oh,
well,
okay,
I
never
won't
mind.
blame you, but I'll respect it.
So yeah, I'm playing through the game now. I very recently beat the second Divine Beast.
What did you do second? Because they can be
the
in
bird.
any order. Oh, the bird.
The
yeah,
bird,
yeah, yeah.
and then I did the elephant.
The elephant, yes.
Yeah, I did the elephant first, and now I am heading to do the third one. Because I've like been playing the game for a while, and I've done like a lot of like just exploring.
Yeah.
Early on. Like I did a lot of exploring between the first and second Divine Beast, so now I'm kind of going on like a boss rush a little bit.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
Have
my
you,
brother...
that's been my life pretty much.
Mm. Have you played Tears of the Kingdom or no?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I think that's good. I think that's the better way to experience Breath of the Wild for the first time.
Yeah, I
My-
mean, I've talked to people who have played both, and they're like, yeah, you should probably play Breath of the Wild first. And I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, my brother tried to play Breath of the Wild back in the day when it came out because it got really high praise. He did drop it though for like one reason in particular. If I remember correctly, it was just because like items broke, and that just started to
He's
really
weak.
annoy him.
He's weak-minded.
That I feel like items are just so like accessible though, to where like,
It's part of the system. They need to be
Yeah.
breakable. Like, that's how the game works.
yeah, like I don't think the game would not make sense to me if like items weren't breakable.
Mm.
But I don't know.
Also, you calling him weak is funny because he plays like Elden Ring on like the hardest difficulty and like all of that.
Well, actually,
So he's
Elden
not.
Ring is famous for not having difficulty settings, so I think
frick,
he's
I don't-
full of lies.
I am trying to remember, like, vaguely. I don't remember what my brother plays here. I can text him.
I think he's a liar. I
Bro's
think he's
just
full
gonna
of it.
be like, every Souls-like that exists, that's what I play.
What hard games do you play? I'm texting him. You guys can keep going. I'll come back to you when I have a
Well,
response.
I
So-
mean, that's me. I try and limit the amount of games that I play because otherwise I will just not finish any of them.
Same.
so that's me. Who else wants to go?
I guess
Evie?
I'm next. So this past week, on Wednesday, I did a thing with one of my mods, Crimson Tie. We went through a bunch of his old fan games and I mean this with nothing but peace and love, Crimson. Some of those were choices.
As someone who's played some of Crimson's old games, I totally understand.
Like we like he was there flaming him too, so I don't feel too bad. Like this isn't me making fun of him. It's like, especially it's showing that he has evolved so much as a developer. But whew.
Yeah, no, Evie, don't play through my old games. I think my second one, my improved one, started off with Professor Oak dying in the intro by a gunshot.
Oh,
That's just a
Yeah.
banging story.
Oh my god.
And yeah, and then was it my third? Maybe like fourth one. Like another dude just got like murdered casually by like a thunderbolt. And
oh,
he was just like, oh well, what are you gonna do? And then the other person who killed him just walked off.
love
Tom, do you
that.
remember that? That was like from Lost
I do remember
Power.
that.
Yeah. No, a lot of my early games had choices. Cade can be a testament to the first one.
The first one is one of the most infamous games that I think I've ever played.
You literally trapped. You
It-
can't
it-
even.
You can beat the game in Trapped. It tries
yeah.
to keep you from not doing it, but it fails.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you have to you can only beat it by abusing bugs,
I love that.
and then a whole half of the game is just inaccessible to most people. The visuals are just piss ugly, and apparently it was one of the first fan games Kenny played, which.
Oh no.
Ooh.
How he made a good one after seeing that, I have no idea.
Maybe you encouraged him. Maybe he was like, I can do better than this. Watch me.
No, that's so crazy to me. It's that Kenny came into the community after me, because it totally feels like he's been here before me. I think that's mainly just because his heyday came before mine, which
Yeah.
also comes to the fact that he's older than me. I mean, I came into the community when I was 13. You think I'm
Yeah.
young now? I was an infant back then.
You'll always be young to me. You can't really change that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I've gotten to the point where I can no longer be people who are newer into the community than me. They're not young. I'm just old.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
I mean, I think you
trust
could
me,
call
Andy,
me
you will
young.
always be young to me. But
Mm.
if I did that logic with everybody, everybody would be a child. So
Yep.
Fair enough.
But other than
If you-
Crimson's
Yeah.
games, I also have played a little bit more of Pokemon Infinity. I want to see what Atomic Reactor's got going on with all of these Digimon. I don't know the first thing about Digimon, and when I was shown the evolution chart that he's got in there, where it's if your attack and defense it's the whole Hitmon situation, but on
But 20
steroids
times.
and crack. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Am I gonna get in trouble for saying that?
fine.
You're
I
fine.
accidentally
We're what,
swore
like
last
20,
stream.
30 minutes into this thing? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
No, speaking of like Digimon, like I saw that L is making a Digimon fan game off of the Essentials engine.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting.
I did see that as well.
I mean, L making just about anything's always gonna be an interesting ride.
And
I mean that with peace and love.
And I'm totally not saying that so L tweets about the podcast again because last
Oh,
time I
dang,
mentioned
that's a smart idea.
scotophobia. Because last time I mentioned scotophobia at the end and she tweeted about that and was like, "Yo, I got mentioned on this podcast. That's how you know I made it." And she doesn't know about how much we talked about her after the podcast recording.
That is true. That is true, yeah.
But she tweeted that, and then I saw in the analytics right at the point because she put a timestamp about when she was mentioned. There's just a huge spike right when I mentioned scotophobia.
I love it.
Yeah,
So we just gotta mention L like once an episode to meet our Clona.
I guess so.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. She's got a lot of like I'll just sit here and brag about her for a second. She has some incredible art. I love seeing the kind of art that she creates. I really like her art style. So seeing her come out with every time she's like, "Here's some more art that I posted," I'm just like, yes, give me more. But I've also been wait, did my internet cut out?
No, you're good. You're
Okay, I was like, everyone got real quiet. I've also
good. We're listening.
I also played this week. I played Pokemon Litharreon, I think is the right way to pronounce it.
I also don't know how to pronounce it.
Radical
yeah.
Raptor's gonna beat me for saying it wrong. That's okay.
The tag
if I
fan
end up-
game.
The-
Do we need to get like a restraining order or something?
No,
Like,
no,
Like,
he's
His disposition
he's
is like
a
that.
good and close friend. He's just like that sometimes.
okay.
But yeah, as some people might know of it as just the tag fan game where he put like the maximum was 50 tags because the EV Expo website allows you to put tags. So he said, okay, well, let's roll with it. Let's see how many we can put on here. And it was fun sitting there and I admit to helping with getting all of those tags on there. I think Cat with No Job was also in the call. If not, well, whoops! I just threw him under the bus.
No. From my understanding, I think he was.
So
some
we
part of it.
we were just having fun with the whole tags thing, but in all seriousness, it genuinely is a fun game. I love the protagonists are named Biscuit and Coffee, and I automatically I think that's cute. If you see my playthrough, you'll see that I was nudged in the direction of a super special Easter egg that I'm not going to spoil it on the podcast. I'll send it to the rest of the people in call so y'all can see it. But
Is this the super rare Pokemon you found?
it is the super rare. Yeah, because I think you
Yeah.
found it too.
No, I didn't.
You didn't.
I missed it apparently, even though I did headbutt that tree.
But yeah,
I think I was watching the
headbutt
stream
all the
at
trees.
What the
time.
hell?
Headbutt
Yeah,
every
I think
tree
I
you
remember
can.
seeing
I'll
that.
say that.
That-
It is a fun
Yeah.
game. There's a lot of just silliness, and I really liked the puzzle that was in there about the how to progress in the forest. I thought that was really neat.
Oh, I haven't done that part yet.
Oh, whoop, I better not say too
Well,
much
you
then.
haven't spoiled anything, so no
Yeah.
whoops.
There's a forest puzzle that's really interesting that definitely if you get the chance to play Litharreon, it's worth a play just because it's been interesting, it's been just enjoyable. I started out with an Eevee and a Shroomish, but I think the other starters are you've got let's see, the main firewater grass is Shroomish, Staryu, and Houndour. And then you've
Yes.
got a personality test where you get Eevee, Spearow, or Growlithe. And
Interesting.
it's really interesting. He made Growlithe a normal type.
Huh.
I have Growlithe and I didn't even realize that.
Surprise!
But no, yeah, I love me some
Huh.
good puzzles in a fan game,
Yeah.
so I may have to check that out. No,
I
but
was
the
gonna say that trio's like normal fire. Interesting.
yeah, but no, the super special Pokemon in the clip Eevee sent reminds me of like. I don't want to talk about my fan games too much on this podcast because I don't know, that feels a bit self-centered. But it reminds me of like one of my I just put Rayquaza as a wild encounter in one of my fan games as like a 1% encounter.
Oh,
So there was just Rayquaza in the tall grass.
love it.
Your
gonna have to
Phoenix
tell me which one.
Rising in its first demo had a secret Kyogre.
Oh,
yeah.
it
I think I
did.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't they
Yeah.
patch it out though?
Yeah, an unintentional secret Kyogre apparently.
Yeah. I remember that.
Shame
Phoenix
they
Rising was
patched
the
it out.
first fan game I played.
Oh. How many frames per
And
second?
you thought
did
Kenny
get?
had it rough playing Trapped.
Oh, wow, we're flaming Phoenix Rising here?
I can't really talk. I couldn't play Phoenix Rising, it was too laggy for me.
Really?
It's
I
the-
did. From my memory,
Maybe
I
they
don't.
released later patches that like actually fixed everything.
No,
but-
I played it day one. I was hyped for that release.
Oh.
And I
okay.
did not get like any lag, so
You lucky ducky.
I got.
Just different
That's
in
great.
PCs.
It came out on my
Yeah.
birthday, and I was like,
Wow.
oh, this is really cool. And then, oh, I'm going at like 2 frames a second.
Yeah, it's the most unplayable fan game I've ever tried to play
What?
in terms
I-
of performance.
I cannot believe what I'm hearing right now. I had no problems.
I mean, I played it and I was able to play it and like record it, and I have a YouTube series on it. But like, yeah, the game's like super laggy for me.
Huh.
But yeah, great game though. Great game.
Yeah.
Like
Great,
other,
great
other
game.
than the lag issues, it
No.
is actually a great game.
I think the only problem is, which we can kind of get into this a little bit later as a topic, because we are going to talk about that game as a topic. But I feel like, if anything, my only problem is like it's a bit overambitious. To the point that I'm like, how can you even finish this without like spending 20 years developing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I used to think that about oh no, what was it? I knew one of the artists, I think Sleepy Jirachi was one of the developers on it.
Is it
Was it
Ethereal Gates?
Azurite?
Oh,
Azurite,
Azure
that's
or
right.
Azurite?
Azure,
Well,
yeah.
also, yeah.
Azure, yeah.
Sure.
Azurite is the game from the EV Expo number 3.
Oh, right, Azure.
Ah.
Yeah, I've seen stuff from this.
I remember Azure though. That game looks so good.
I've seen, yeah, images of Azure.
Or hold on, I'm looking. No, I think I'm looking
Maybe
up
not
the
as
wrong
maybe it's
thing.
alright.
I think it
Is
was
it Azurite?
Azurite. Hold on, I'm looking up the Twitter
Are
because
there 2 different Pokemon Azurites then?
there's Azurite that was in the like there was Azure that was in the current like the EV Expo
Oh yeah,
we
no,
just
it
had.
is Azurite, but it's a different Azurite that we had in the EV Expo. Here,
Oh,
let me
nice.
put this link in the chat. But like, this game
Oh,
looked.
yeah, that one.
Is this game still in development?
I
so.
don't think so. I
About-
think around the time that like I think I see that their Twitter's still there. Something happened and I don't know what happened, but they ended up having to disband.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't heard like anything from them in like years, so I would assume that it's probably
According to their Twitter, they're still doing something.
It's kind of like
Oh,
the
yeah, I
tradition of
think-
like Phoenix Rising. It's like we're still going.
I've just checked my sources, and I believe they do have an active team working on the game at the moment.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And Sleepy Jirachi's still part of it. Okay.
Alright. But yes, where were we?
Is that all you've played recently, Ify?
I think so. Yeah, that's about it. Other than that, I've been playing like Little Kitty Big City and grinding in Final Fantasy 14 because Dawn Trail's coming out next month, and
How is
I'm
Little
not
Kitty
ready.
Big City?
it is so cute. And like
It
there are
looks
some
very good.
there are some bugs with like how physics work, but some of it leads to hilarity, and some of it's just like, oh well, you know, it was day 2 of it being out, and patches are being released. I want to encourage people to get it on Steam. Don't get it on console because
Okay.
you'll get the patches sooner.
Yeah, that reminds me a little bit of like the first non-Pokemon video game I made was called Catastrophe, and it was a platformer where you just play as a cat, and your whole goal was just to mess up the house. It was like breaking the vases. You had to like avoid the dogs.
That's definitely some of Little Kitty Big City. Avoiding dogs, and there are little achievements for like knock over this many plants. There are so many cute little hats that you can wear.
Yes,
I've had
it's like-
so much
Is
fun.
it gacha?
Yeah, they're in little like gachapon capsules.
Yeah, it looks very cute.
Can I find?
I do want to play Little Kitty Big City, but just got a lot of games
Please
to play
do.
and not much time.
Oh, I feel
Yeah,
that
there
one.
are so many games. Like Nand, like just was like these 3 games. Like Andy, you need to play them. I'm like, okay, I'll get around to it.
Someday.
Someday.
No, yeah, this is an image.
I feel like I'm
cat
gonna be
platformer.
like, I feel like I'm gonna be like retired, like in a nursing home, and that's when I'm gonna clear out my like game backlog. You know,
Oh yeah, totally.
like literally, I'll be bedridden. The only thing I'm like, I want to eat, sleep, and play video games.
Yeah, just hook up the controller to your Neuralink.
There you go.
So true.
It's also like so bad because like I'm not even a gamer, so people are like, dude, you need to play these games. But since I don't play video games in my free time, it makes it so much harder to clear the backlog.
Interesting.
Best
But
wishes.
yeah. If you give Little Kitty a big recommend, medium recommend, or what?
Oh, big recommend.
Big
Big
recommend.
recommend.
Very nice.
I love the art style. They've got all of these adorable side characters. One that's a Tanuki that manipulates the fabric of space-time. You know, your typical stuff that happens in a regular big city when you're a little cat.
Yeah.
Big recommend.
Very nice. Okay, I guess I'll talk about what I've been playing recently, but I haven't really played too much recently. Similar to Ify, I started Litharreon, or however you say it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really nice. I haven't played as much as Ify, so I'm not done with the demo yet. But there is more to the game than just being 50 tags, surprisingly.
What?
No way. That's crazy.
I know, there's a game. It's my favorite thing about it probably would be how it does like the Gen 3 aesthetic. Like it's real
Yes.
Gen 3. It feels like a proper Nintendo Gen 3 game. Because I feel
Oh,
like
it has no overworld shadows.
I don't even know what that means. But yeah. Because I feel like you just see like ECAT tiles for Gen 3 now, and that tends to be like the go-to Gen 3 style for fan
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
But this
Which
actually has
isn't
like
bad,
custom
but-
Gen 3 tiles that aren't ECAT and still maintain kind of Nintendo
Mhm.
art style. thought that's really cool.
Some of it is he pulled it straight from like a copy of Emerald, because it originally started out as a ROM hack,
Oh,
and I don't
I
know
can see that.
I don't know how he was able to convert it from a ROM hack to a fan game. That's stuff that I don't understand. I'm not a developer.
I mean,
Whoa.
most likely just do it from scratch, because there is no
Yeah.
real translation. You would just
I feel
have
like
to...
there's no way to actually do that.
Yeah, like, I wasn't even able to translate, really, like, a project I started from Essentials into PSDK.
Ooh.
Like, I just had to redo it all from scratch. Mostly. I was able to convert the maps over, but that was about it.
Mm.
but yeah, so I've been enjoying that game. Hopefully, I'll get to finish it soon. Otherwise, non-Pokemon game I've been playing recently. I haven't had too much time, but I've been playing somewhat recently a game called Another Crab's Treasure, which is like Dark Souls, but you're a crab.
Mhm.
It's
I've
I don't know. Have you heard of
so
it?
many memes
I've-
about that.
I've seen stuff about it, and I saw
Yeah.
that you played it. I thought, all right, if Tom likes it, I'm gonna have to play it.
Well, I don't know if I like it. I've got very mixed feelings about it, to be honest.
Mm.
It's kind of hard to explain, but like, there's a big game mechanic around having a shell, and then you need to block most of the attacks using your shell. And if you don't have a shell, you're like extremely fragile. But that means
Mhm.
you're pretty much always one hit away from death if you don't click the shield button in time for like maybe a very quickly telegraphed move. It just makes
Mm.
combat feel a bit weird because you'll just like miss one attack and then boom, you're dead because you didn't click the shield button.
Ooh.
Because normally in like a action RPG game, you know, you can normally tank like 1 or 2 hits.
Mm-hmm.
But because they want you to focus on the shield mechanics so much, they've made it so that if you don't have the shield, you're probably going to get 1 hit.
Mm.
I don't know.
Jeez.
That's unfortunate.
It's just kind of weird. But I have been enjoying the game, I think. But definitely not like a perfect, smooth experience in my opinion.
Yeah. It's fair. Unfortunate, but fair.
It is what it is. It's fun to try out different
Yeah.
games and see their flaws.
Yeah. And that's the important part, especially we're over here with a Pokemon fan game podcast. Like, we do play other things sometimes.
Oh,
We're like, as much as this is my hyperfixation, I do other video games, I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
think
even
that's,
me,
like-
like,
Go ahead.
I've started developing, like, I'm working on 2 projects right now that aren't video games. Like, I've already talked about the visual novel I'm working on, and I'm working on another original video game that I've been, talking about with my brother. Though, no plans to come out anytime soon. I haven't even, created a project file, so, But yeah, like, no, we do have lives and aspirations outside of Pokemon.
Well, I wouldn't go so
I
far as
just-
to say I have a life, but
I like to believe that I also have a life, but I'm not so sure about it.
yeah.
Oh, I probably have
But-
the least amount of life compared to you
But
guys.
I think it's like it's really interesting. I think it's like very much. I think it's important for like other people as well, just to like play other video games, because I think like there's a lot of people I think that get so like sucked into this fan game community that
Mm.
like they have no like outside frame of reference.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say like I'm completely just devoid of like this blame as well, because like I think we all view at least this is how I view it. I view like fan games as like kind of honestly just like complete separate entities to like other video games like as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there like it gets to a point where we like can have different criteria, and people have different criteria to where like if someone brings in like X feature from like a real video game into their fan game, and just because it's like it's never been done in a fan game before, I think people are very quick to think that that's not a good feature at all. And I'm here
Really?
to say, like, no, it probably is a good feature. You're just like not used to it. And I think
Yeah.
that the best way to like stop thinking in that mindset is to play other video games
Yeah.
outside of fan
Yeah,
games.
I'm kind of shocked to hear that people say that because I haven't heard anything like that before. I mean, I'm completely up to, changing the mold, trying something new in the realm of
I
Pokemon
think-
fan games. I mean, and a lot of them were inspirations from actual games like Hito. I was inspired by Binding of Isaac a bit with the gameplay. Of course, recently Iron Memory, I did like a Fire Emblem-esque gameplay.
I think it really has to do, it's not with what people say, it's what people don't say, and specifically with what people don't play. Because I think that, I was just talking, maybe in this Discord call before we started recording, but I think there's a lot of people who, like, viewers of, like, PokeTubers who really just want to see, like, the core, like,
Exactly.
Pokemon formula done in fan games. And PokeTubers have realized that, so they're going to play those games. And I think that
Well,
that's why, like, for example, when Tom, I think you brought up last week, Pocket Moderators.
Yeah.
Like, I had completely forgotten that game exists, and you didn't see, like, literally anybody play that game, even though supposedly
No.
it's like a fantastic game, because it's so outside the Pokemon formula that nobody would ever want to play it. And I think that's
So-
like, there's examples with other games as well.
I would say though that like Pokerogue is like a departure a bit from like the Pokemon formula, and that's been doing insanely well.
Yeah. I think also people are getting more and more,
Accustomed.
accustomed. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. To these different things, and I think that's also partly because people as developers are trying more new things, and people are honestly getting kind of bored of creating the same classic Pokemon formula over and over again. So if there's not those games to play, then people are gonna have to branch out and play those other games.
I mean, like, have any of you guys played Pokemon Crown?
Yeah, the auto
I have
battler.
not, but I've seen.
Auto
I
chat,
watched
yeah,
Tulsi
sorry.
play it.
Yeah, I haven't played it either, but I've heard about it. It's one that I really want to play.
It's
looks
very
really good.
cool. It does not look like a ROM hack, but it is somehow a ROM hack. Yeah, it's very impressive.
Yeah, I saw Irie make a video about it. Have any of you guys seen any Irie videos?
They've popped up on my YouTube feed, but I haven't watched anything.
Yeah, I became most, like, accustomed to Irie videos because they did, like, top... I think it was 5, like, fan games, but, like, ones that you
Irie.
don't hear about. Irie, yes.
I
They did,
don't
like-
actually know how to pronounce their name, but
I don't know either.
I
But
say
they made...
Ray.
Yeah, they made a video about, like, the best Pokemon fan games that you've never played, and Abstract was on that list, along with,
A-
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was along with Ashen of Frost, Vinemon, and Salt, what was it, Salt and Shadow? Yeah, those were the ones that they talked about. Which, to me, I'm like, these aren't, Salt and Shadow I didn't know about, but I'm like, these are still popular, but I'm like, I guess not in, like, the, like, mainstream, and that's why, like, last, podcast episode I was talking about, like, there are kind of, like, two audiences with fan games, in, like, the general public and, like, the Relic Castle. I feel like those are, like, the simplest
Yeah.
ways to,
Yeah, I
like,
think like we're all very like dialed into the like EV Expo type community, not into the like the general audience. So like we're all aware of these like fantastic games, and we
Yeah.
know which games don't get enough praise and whatnot.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah, have you played
It's
any
like-
other games, Tom?
Other games, not really. I have not had much time to play games recently. But to talk more about what Cade was talking about, because I do think that is super interesting. Yeah, I feel like it is mainly the not like completely standard Pokemon fan games, because as you said, we had Pokerogue, Get Famous. This gym of mine had a non-typical gameplay loop, and it absolutely popped off. but it is still
Alright.
like somewhat safe. It's still Pokemon battles, and there tends to be like a lot of strategy you can do with those Pokemon battles. It tends to quite heavily lead into like the hardcore Nuzlocke players who like to min-max how they do a Pokemon battle.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the kinds of the fan games that most people see. Like you're saying, not the Relic Casters, not the EV Explorers, but the people outside, the larger audience, the people that get 1.1 million views on a YouTube video. Those
It's
are
kind of like-
people who are interested in those kinds of fan games.
And even if we look in the EV Expo community, I mean, if we compare, because I think the main like difference to like the creative ones that do well and the creative ones that don't, are there just normal Pokemon battles somewhere in there? Because if we look at like, to really hone in on like a specific as like Iron Memory, which I know how well it did because I was the developer behind it and I saw everyone who played it, so I have the best idea of how well it did. I mean, it did fairly well, especially if you compare it to Hito, which didn't have any traditional Pokemon battles in any sorts, even though we had Vendely on the team who did an amazing job in making that gameplay system, and I think for, like, we only had a week, really, to make that gameplay system work. I think, you know, we came up with some really cool bosses. I really like what we did. I felt like it should have gotten more attention than it did, but it didn't really, because there was no Pokemon battles in it. Compared to Iron Memory, which, sure, there was more gameplay around the Pokemon battles, but they were still inherently there.
Well, I think even then, like, the ladder of fan game popularity goes up so high, and I feel like that's even just like still way below games like Insurgents, Uranium, Pokerogue, This Gym of Mine, Survivor Pokemon Journey, all fan games that really reach the larger audience. I think what gets famous or does well in the smaller community in EV Expo tends to do more just with word of mouth within the community and a bit of luck as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I think Pokemon fan games that maybe even don't have any Pokemon battling will still get talked about a fair bit in the EV Expo community, just with a bit of luck or a bit of word of mouth.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And I guess going back to like the whole like games with Pokemon battles get big and vice versa, I guess, is that like, again, you have to, like, if we look at like the Pokemon YouTube community as a whole, like the biggest community of Pokemon is like competitive battling and
Yes.
Nuzlocking and stuff like that. And when those creators who are like accustomed to doing that one thing for all of their content, when they go look for a fan game, they want to see a fan game with Pokemon battles that they can do all their min-max battle damage calcing stuff with. And I think that's one of the reasons why Pokerogue has gotten like
Pokerogue
so
is
big, is
perfect for that.
because number one, it definitely appeals to like the like Nuzlocking type community.
I mean, it's
which I
basically
think
halfway there.
Yeah, it was like one of the biggest, which I think Nuzlocking in general, even though I think it's like fallen off a little bit and going more towards just like challenge videos, but like
Yeah.
I think, you know, like back when I watched like a lot of Poketubers, like Nuzlocking was the big thing. And
Yep.
I think it still is a big thing. And now we're like in the challenge video era, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. And Pokerogue is great for both of those like ideas. And I
Definitely.
think that's part of the reason why it's gotten like super big.
I
If
think
not
that's
the main
spot
reason,
on. Yeah.
honestly.
That's definitely some why, like, I see so many people playing, oh no, what is it? Radical Red, and they have an Emerald that's like it, and I don't remember what the Emerald version's called.
I think Rogue Emerald,
Oh, yeah.
Rogue? maybe.
Something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those
Google.
games where you can build a proper team.
Yeah,
They do well.
Rogue.
Yeah. I think like also one of the most interesting parts of Pokemon, I think in terms of like in the core games as well as team building. Like team building like I think is super fun. And clearly it's one of the things that I think really gets people going in the online community as well.
I mean, yeah, that's one of the core tenets to, like, Pokemon, and that's why it's kind of weird that, like, fan games... Like, honestly, I feel like there are more fan games that don't have Fakemon than ones that do. And that's... But even though Pokemon, like, the core tenet of it is, like, catching Pokemon, making a team, and, like, discovering these weird creatures in the world, normally I don't, at least in my experience, that's not why, like, that's not the tenet that people latch onto when making fan games, at least in the sphere I'm in.
Yeah, that's because a lot of us in this sphere love stories and writing and stuff like that. So we're all just like, we all just want to write, and that's not what people want.
Yeah.
Like,
It's also hard to make the team building aspect different because the way it works in a vanilla Pokemon game already works pretty well. I remember, Cade, you played Battle Mountain by Crimson TY.
Crimson Tide.
YT?
Yeah.
Type. And
That's
I remember
a throwback. Not a throwback.
you liked that game because of how it did team building, and I thought that was like very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. That's, I guess, and that, like, honestly, like, really speaks to why, like, the default Pokemon, it, like, I liked Battle Mountain because of how simplistic it was. It wasn't like you, because, like, I don't know, personally, when I go to, like, build a Pokemon team, especially for an in-game playthrough, especially for a game which I think I 5-minute reviewed, which is a game that I don't want to spend a ton of time on personally.
Yeah.
I just want the simplistic thing. So what I really liked about that game is that, hey, we already had our Pokemon here, and all I had to do was look at the types and the moves that were already there. They were already pre-made. I didn't have to worry about IVs or EVs. They were already there, or something. I don't exactly remember, but, like, all that was already there.
Jump in.
Yeah, and there were also opportunities to, like, kind of counter team, and I think, like, obviously the balancing and difficulty was really on par there. It wasn't like, I think that's another, like, big thing is, like, you know, your team building only means so much if, like, if I could pull up with 6 Magikarps and still win, or if I pull up with 6 Arceuses and still struggle. Like, if either of those two things are true, I'm not going to want to play your game. But I think if there's, like, a happy medium there, which there very much is, then, you know, like, for me, simplistic team building is more interesting, and I think that's what, like, the core normal Pokemon games do so well, because, I don't know, they're, like, extremely accessible to, like, literally everybody, whereas in fan games they want they're, like, as I think there are a lot of people who want more complex, you know, things thrown in, and those fan games deliver that. But, like, personally, that's not, like, for me. I guess that's why I really liked that. And
yeah, whenever I see a IV or EV dedicator, I'm like, I'm not talking to that NPC.
That's why like Reborn and Desolation, I just, as soon as I find out, okay, they have passwords, I can just put in full full EV or IVs for everyone. Done. Nope, not dealing with that. Not dealing with that.
Mechanic.
Yeah, it was funny. It's like in Abstract when we were developing it, there was one day I was making all those special houses in there with, like, the Mint Laney and like all those people. And Nay was like, alright, you make them. I'm like, what do I put with these people? Like, what do you want? Because I just didn't know, because I don't touch that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we've moved on from this topic, do you guys want to start talking about Phoenix Rising, which we kind of brought up a bit earlier?
Yeah, we brought it up earlier. Let's go ahead and talk more about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I know very little. I've got their Poke community page pulled up. That's all I know right now.
Oh, so you haven't heard about the news?
No.
Okay.
the news.
The news. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to this. So let me read off the post that they stated April 14th. This was shortly after, I think, the Relic Castle takedown, to give context. So, hello everyone. We have recently come to the conclusion that Phoenix Rising in its current form needs to cease development. The Pokemon Company International and Nintendo have become significantly more protective of their IP in recent months, with the most significant example being the closure of Relic Castle's website. This, coupled with upcoming changes in Discord's community guidelines, makes the state of fan games significantly more unstable. As much as we all love the Pokemon franchise, these are not conditions we can work under. That said, there is still a lot of life in the ideas in this game. Phoenix Rising's strength lies in its character-driven narrative rather than its connection to Pokemon, and can stand on its own without that connection. It is with that in mind that the team is moving forward by detaching the game from the Pokemon IP rather than canceling it outright. The immediate consequences of this are that new ideas will need to be created to replace the existing Pokemon gameplay loop, and the team will need to reach out to several former members to determine what assets can be retained and what will need to be replaced. Because of this, it will take an indeterminate amount of time before the public hears about any future progress. Rather than put the server in an indefinite limbo of anticipation, the team has decided to move all further development discussion to a private server and designate this server as being exclusively for discussion of the 2018 demo. That being said, when the team does eventually have content to be shown, it can be found here, linked to Twitter account. There may be a new community server in the future, but we are currently not at that stage.
That's wild.
Yeah, so I think there's like obviously a lot to unpack here, and I think that there are like different people who had like absolutely all over the spectrum of like reactions that you could have to like the Relic Castle takedown. There are a lot of reactions, and I understand with a team and project with the scope of Phoenix Rising's scope that like I can completely understand where they are coming from in terms of moving to non-Pokemon, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
And I think that honestly, like for games that do have like a big, like a larger scope like this, like I completely understand. I think it makes sense for them to not only just because they're scared of Pokemon, like honestly, like personally, I am not scared of Pokemon at all. I'm not scared of anything they can levy on the community. The community is going to survive. Don't worry about that.
Oh yeah.
I
mean,
think
they took down the
I'm thinking
Essentials
more
Wiki
from
Relic Castle.
I think more from like a perspective of when you're pouring so much time and energy into a project such as the team of Phoenix Rising is, I think you get to the point where you'll want to probably get some sort of monetary value back when you're giving the game to people, and that's where I'm like, now, like, totally, like, go make your own IP or do whatever you need to do, because I think like at the end of the day, Pokemon fan games are a passion project. Nobody should or will ever make any money from any of these projects, and I think that it's really important to understand that coming in, and because of that, I think there are a good amount of people who are going to think about moving to their own IPs. We've seen that with other games like A Node Heart, for example. There's like
Yes.
Oromon, other games like that. But with all of that said, I think like your main, like if you're a project and your main motivation to like move to your own IP is to like not have any legal action by Nintendo or TPCI or whoever taken against you, I think that is kind of crazy personally.
Which it does seem like it's that, because they did state they are not making any money from the original project.
I think like personally, I do not think it is that big of a deal. I think us as a community are fine. We're not going to go anywhere.
And it's also kind of crazy because they weren't even on Relic Castle to begin with.
Yeah, 100%. So
they were only on Poke Community.
Yeah.
But I think it was
were
crazy
really big
because
on Twitter.
even Maruno like commented on the situation, which I've never seen him comment on fan game news.
That's
and, like,
wild.
Yeah, like he was on the Discord server like talking about it, and he brought up a really good point, and like we haven't gotten any released content for the game in 6 years. It has been in constant development hell, more so than I know for any fan game. So for them to go, all right, yeah, we're going to start from ground bottom, it's like, so all of that work, all of that effort, not all of it is gone, of course. They're still going to be able to bring up some scraps, some ideas. It's not all for nothing, but definitely not worth the amount of time they put in, not equal the amount of work they put in, effort, any of that. And a lot of it is being thrown away. And I'm just like, for that all to be thrown away, if I was in that position, I would have no energy to be like, alright, now I'm gonna put in even more work into an original property that is not gonna make us any money anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much on the exact same. I have pretty much the exact same opinion as Cade. I think it's totally fair for them to go, hey, we want to make an original game. I don't really think this is the reason for it, and maybe it should have been a decision that was made a while ago. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
'cause it is just, it kind of feels like a lot of, because they also put a lot of effort into making a re-released version of Episode 1, which never is going to see the light of day now. Which is just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've got absolutely no idea what happens with Phoenix Rising behind the scenes, but I'm curious, how much work was done, how much is going to be scrapped, how much is going to be replicated in the new vision.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. We only know what they've said.
Yeah,
I can
it's
look
hard
through-
to know.
I can
And I
look
think
through game
also-
questions.
What is really interesting to me too, about just Phoenix Rising, this is specific to Phoenix Rising, is that they've had a lot of turnover in terms of the
Yeah.
team. I think the
Yeah.
original game was released with Gav at
Yeah.
the helm,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
And he
because
left
they've been
immediately after the first demo.
They've been out of the
Yeah.
community for a long time. I think they currently work in the game dev industry, which is really cool.
Oh.
Which kind of goes
They
to
do.
another point that I want to make at some point. But then I believe Marin worked on, was the head of Phoenix Rising.
Yeah,
for
so
a
Marin
while.
He was
was
at
on
least
the
part of it.
project before, but then he got promoted when Gav left.
Yeah, when Gav left, and now he's no longer on the project. I got to be honest, I don't know who the current lead is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I
either.
just, and with all of these changes, and because I'm a big film guy, I want to be in the film industry. When this amount of development hell happens in a project, that's usually a death flag in like the quality of it, in the end product, in because also a lot of the core ideas from when you came up with it, which makes sense in that point in time when you made it, and it would have worked in that point in time. When it goes in development hell, and it's in development for that long, usually those ideas don't work as well when it eventually comes out.
Yeah,
It was made for a specific point in time, so for it to come out in another one, it feels like, oh, this feels like it came out X years ago.
Yeah.
Or, like, feel like it was made by committee, and, like, if you have multiple people involved in it, you have clashing ideas, clashing opinions, and it overall ends up feeling messy most of the time. And I'm
yeah,
not saying
I think.
it's going to end
Sorry.
up like this, it's just a concern of mine.
Yeah. I think this also goes to like a point, just talking about like Gav, and there are a lot of other people who've been in similar positions where like I think for me personally, I think fan games for people are either like your passion project and it's just like the community you always stick with just because you enjoy doing this stuff, but it's not something you're ever going to do professionally, or it's like your first stepping stone into like the actual game development industry. And we see like a lot of different examples of people who are doing that.
Yeah.
Like Lux, for example, who is like currently going to college for game development. And there's a lot of other people. You got like Thundaga as well. Who
Yeah,
is,
Nand
like,
wants to go in the industry.
yeah. So I think like, Pokemon fan games are a great like stepping stone. But I'm very like, I like to caution people that like, hey, like fan games are not like, they're not a career. They're not like the end all
Yeah.
be all. Like go like there are so many talented people in this community. Go make your money and make something that's gonna have like a larger cultural impact than our little like niche side community on the internet. And
Yeah.
At least if that's what you want to do, yeah.
yeah,
If that's your
obviously that's
goal
what
out
you're
of
trying
it.
to do.
Yeah, the only reason why I make Pokemon fan games because I have fallen off. I have not played any of the recent mainline Pokemon games. Overall, in the Pokemon community, I've kind of fallen off, so, and I'm not a gamer, so it's like, why the hell are you making Pokemon fan games? One simple reason, honestly. A, it's kind of just been a hobby that I enjoy when I was in Pokemon in that community, so it's kind of just stayed, and fan games are usually, I like those better than the mainline games, which is a topic we can talk about in detail later on, is just fan games being better than mainline games. But it's just like, I do it mainly, it's like, it's a tight-knit community, and it was a nice way to get, like, feedback for my stories, because I want to be a filmmaker. They're a lot easier to put together because all the effort is on you than like if I tried to film something. Recently, I tried filming something for 5 months and it all fell apart because of stuff not in my control. That doesn't happen as much for like a fan game. Now it still can.
Yeah, it just, I think that's like one of the great things about this community is I think there are like not only can you do something like completely on your own, but I think there are a lot of like really driven people in this community who like work hard, and it's not like a school group project type of vibe where you're the only person doing work and you have to like pick up the slack for like literally everybody else. I think like most people I've worked with in this community, like they do their work, they'll put in their part, and it's honestly it's great. It's a great experience not only to like work on something, but it's also like great team building experience, because I like, in my opinion, one of the most important things in like a professional environment is to be able to collaborate with others. Like that's like I work on a team in my actual job. It's like it's really important, I think, for everybody to learn that process. So it's great for people to kind of like get rid of like the school group project stigma, because I think there are a lot of people who have that kind of idea of like, I don't want to ever work with others ever again because I'm the only person that puts in work.
Yeah, like that reminds me with Abstract, like, cause that whole thing started, I was playing Concealed by Nant, and I was like, I'm moving, I don't want to helm a project on my own, I just want to do like a nice relax, just help someone with their project. I saw potential in Nant when playing Concealed, I was like, hey, for your summer project, because he was talking about it, that he had a plan, can I help you with it? And he was like, yeah, sure. And when I came on, he had, this really, as you guys know how it ended up, this really ambitious 8-gym game for the gym that's open world, and it would have a story. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this by myself. And I'm like, no you're not. We are not doing that by ourselves. We are getting spriters to help us, because that's the thing. He wanted, he wanted to sprite the things himself and map, and I'm like, no, that's too much work, especially for 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
And I think because I said that, the project was able to get done. I don't think it would have been done if we did it by ourselves.
So
Ify, did you have anything you wanted to say about Phoenix Rising?
Excuse me. I don't really have anything to really put in when it comes to Phoenix Rising, because I know a little bit, but this was me learning a lot more of the behind the scenes stuff. I will say that I've heard personal testaments from people who used to be in the development team, and I feel like I should not share what I've been told for the sake of just like anonymity, privacy, all that stuff. So I don't have too much to share, except I've heard my share of negative things from the inside.
Was that mostly from the original demo team or from post Gav?
I honestly don't remember. I don't remember which part they were in.
Because I heard a lot of troublesome parts about the team management pre-demo, what the original team with Gav and whatnot. I heard that there's a lot of management problems, but I don't really know much about what happened after.
Yeah, and especially with a project that big, you kind of there are times where you expect there to be like, if the person that's supposed to be like the head developer doesn't have the best grasp on everything. Yeah, that happens from time to time, but
Oh yeah. But I feel like especially with a project that big, you need a like lead developer that is on charge of everything, has his hands in all the.
Yeah, but I think that's also just impossible for a fan game, which in the end is a hobby,
Yeah.
not your job.
And
Yeah.
that's why, like I was saying earlier, it's like Phoenix Rising. It's almost too ambitious for its own good.
yeah. And
I
that's
feel like-
something I feel like with Azurite as well, which is why I feel like that's why I feel like we haven't gotten a demo for it, is because it's one of those they've got such. This is something that I've seen for a lot of games or aspiring games, I should say, where they talk about, this is how I'm going to do this region, and they've got these incredible artists doing incredible art for what they're going to put into the game, and then there's like so much of the back end that's not as considered that it ends up turning into like everyone's real hype about it on Twitter or hype about it on Instagram, or I don't know where else people get hype about fan games, because I don't see much fan game stuff on TikTok. But you know, it just you see all this hype that builds up and then it just fizzles into nothing or worse.
Yeah, that's also like a big thing that I honestly don't think there's a lot of, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm any good at it, but I like something that I also notice is that like learning and like kind of like deriving hype and kind of like at like the right time as well, like learning how to kind of build like a kind of like a social media campaign, even though it's not like, that sounds like a really formal term, right? But just to like, you know, build up hype. And you also want to make sure like when you do like build up hype for something, you want to make sure you actually have that like deliverable ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many online projects I see that are like, they do a nice like social media presence and then they get a following, and then that's like at the beginning of their development cycle, Pokemon and not Pokemon wise, and then because of that they don't really have much to show after that. Problems happen behind the scenes and people get mad at you because they're not hearing anything.
Silk Song.
And so that's why I feel like that's why with all my projects, not because I'm like, ooh, I'm this big wig, I have secret projects. No, it's just I don't want to like start a campaign for it, like get hyped for this project where it may just get canceled. There are so many projects I start and never finish. Like recently, I started a project for a couple weeks and dropped it. And it's not a big deal because I didn't really talk about it.
Yeah, I think like it's just really important in my opinion to just like know like if you're going to talk about like something that you're working on and because I don't know, I think it's pretty, maybe it's just like an instinct that I have, but I don't think, like, I think most people can figure out like, hey, if I tweet about this one thing, like it's probably going to have a big reaction, or people aren't probably going to care about it too much. And if you do think it's going to get that big reaction, then you better have that thing ready.
Yep.
Like, imagine if Pokerogue was, like, hyping itself up for, like, months before its release.
And then we got hallway walking simulator.
Like,
Yeah.
Which is
But-
almost what it felt like when Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker came out. It was queue sitting simulator. It was bad, y'all.
but no, since we're on this topic, the fan game that I wanted to, like, talk about, originally I was gonna bring up because of this kind of thing, so I can start talking about it now if y'all are okay with that.
Go for it.
Okay, so this is something I haven't heard anyone talk about in Relic Castle at all, but it did get a huge push online because they were making YouTube videos about it, and the concepts they have since been privated, minus a trailer for the game, and it's still in development. It's pretty ambitious, and the project is Pokemon XYZ. It's gonna be 2D with some 3D cutscenes. I can show you. Since this is a podcast, I'm just gonna try and describe it for the viewers, but There's a photo
What's it called?
Pokemon XYZ.
That's something
I can
that they're
send you the
saved in my
Twitter.
Twitter bookmarks.
I've never heard
Yeah,
of this before.
exactly. It's not been talked about at all in Relic Castle. But there are so many concept art stuff on their Twitter for like battle bonds of Delphox and Chestnut, and Calisonian forms for Hatterene and Grimmsnarl. And we even see like they posted a couple maps for like the first area. And apparently they're not making it in Essentials.
Is it a
Yeah,
French
this
fan
seems
game?
like a.
It's not. I think it's
It's
oh
not
no, it is
French.
French. It is French.
This seems like something that would be made in like a Unity or Unreal, which like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it is Unity.
Oh wait, they already announced a release date.
Yeah, well, for a demo.
That's kind
But
of
still, that's like.
Mhm.
That's like. That's a far away release date. So they're.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, they were hyping
I don't.
it up
I don't
like
want
a
to.
year before.
I don't want to be that guy, but I feel like we
Press
might want
X
to
to
like
doubt?
pump the brakes on this a little bit, just because
Yeah,
like
they haven't talked about it in like 4 months, which is probably a good thing.
hopefully, like
Because
I think
you also don't want to like show off like the golden egg before like a year before it's released, and like this is what it's gonna be like, because then you've pretty much already played it at that point.
Hmm.
Well, the release date announcement was from over a year beforehand in
Yeah.
anticipation,
yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
And like,
I just-
and even before that trailer, they had so many videos that are not privated about like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this gimmick and it'll be like that and blah 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 blah. And they were just like explaining everything.
I just maybe it's just because I'm very like I've seen big projects, big fan game projects like. At like just like Phoenix Rising, build up all this hype and then kind of fizzle out, right?
Yeah, that's
we've,
kind of what I'm scared this will be.
I think we just it looks like this project looks amazing. Like, and I
yeah.
will definitely be playing it if it comes out, but I feel like we need to pump the brakes a little bit on this just because I don't know, little.
It does look like from management, because it seems like everyone's doing their share, everyone's working on it at least, which is a good sign.
Good.
Right, like as we see, the lead developer has made a map, the 3D artists are doing the 3D work, we have concept art, so it seems like, at least behind the scenes, it's not completely falling apart.
Well,
What's
hopefully,
the
like,
3D stuff?
Well,
yeah,
there'll apparently be like 3D cutscenes.
interesting. Because what seems really
Um,
interesting to me is like, for example, I feel like some projects will legitimately do this. Like the moment they finish a map, the moment they finish some concept art, they post it.
Yeah.
And like this project could be it, and we literally have not seen development in 4 months. Like that
Sure.
that could theoretically be a thing. I
Yeah.
hope it's not, and I don't think it is, but could be.
It could be. You're totally right.
And
Another thing
Oh, go ahead.
to talk about when it comes to this project is they are making a change, which I've talked about with Ethy, and I remember when I talked about it with him before, and when we were in a Call of Crimson and Guz, they were all not a fan of it. The decision for what they're doing with the protagonist. So that's the design for Serena, and let me see if I can quote specifically what they are doing with her. Serena's, I think they're like, Serena is not known for any facial expressions, as she is personality-less like all Pokemon MCs. In XYZ, she has a personality.
So it's like the
Which-
whole point of this is looking like Serena doesn't actually look like she has a personality in the screenshot you were showing me.
In that
opinion.
screenshot, this is...
Or the concept art.
yeah.
But concept art also I feel like doesn't normally show a lot of emotion and stuff like that, so I don't know.
To describe the concept art to the viewers, basically, imagine Serena. I don't know how to describe the hat. She has like a blue jacket on, the skirt instead is blue. That's basically, it's Serena but blue. She has a little like smirk on her face. But basically the main takeaway is like, what do you guys think about having like a protagonist with a personality for like a Pokemon game?
I actually really like it.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, it's all gonna come down to execution.
Yeah.
It
I
could be
think
bad, it could be good.
Which is why I
I
personally I get a little nervous about it because like it could go one of two ways.
yeah, that's true. I personally am not a fan of like the like speechless protagonist. I think it removes a lot of character
And it limits a lot of story
potential.
potential.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
limits a lot of story potential, and but that's just me.
Though
I know there are a
also-
lot of people who are, who like the speechless character because they're like, oh, that's me, and I'm like, well, okay.
Though also
I've
the
never seen it
speechless-
like that, but
The speechless player also, as much it takes away from story potential, it also almost gives story potential. Like what I did with Abstract, to make like the Lev story even more tragic with like, as you see his descent, pretty much if you don't know, this isn't much spoiler, this is pretty obvious, and that's the main point why we did it, it's very obvious. Lev goes down a depression arc and like getting worse and worse in self-esteem, and obviously, when that happens, you should care and like try and help them. You can't do that as a speechless protagonist, so I kind of made it even worse because it's so out of your control you can't do anything to help. To almost make it worse. So yeah, it can limit story potential, but in that case it can almost add.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
I mean,
kind of
I'm
played
pretty
with that.
indifferent.
Go ahead. Go
Sorry,
ahead,
keep
Tom.
going. No, you first.
They kind of played with that in Pokemon Reborn, where they kind of break the fourth wall with it, where it's like you just stand there, you're always silent, you never say anything, and somehow you're just this major hero that everybody loves. What is it about you? What's wrong with you? What kind of monstrosity are you? They kind of poke fun at that in a way, and it's kind of neat how they took that as like, oh, this silent protagonist is just this weird, unstoppable force that's destroying everything that we're fighting for. It was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it just depends on the game surrounding it. I'm very
Yeah.
indifferent about which one's better, which one's worse. I think it just comes down to the writing
yeah,
of
I
the game.
think either can definitely be good.
Mm.
I remember like what something Kane said for like my first game is like, a talking protagonist is weird if you choose the name for them.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. This is the hill I will die on. If you can name your protagonist, and they like, okay, if your protagonist talks, that inherently means that you are not the protagonist.
Yeah.
So then you shouldn't be able to name the protagonist. But I think like now this isn't true on the other side, but I think most Pokemon fans believe it to be true that if the protagonist doesn't talk, then you are the protagonist. But I think also like you could have like a speechless protagonist that already has a name. But
Hmm.
I think the biggest thing here is if you have a talking protagonist and you also have the chance to name them, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so
I don't
I
know.
think
I'm pretty indifferent about that. I mean, I've seen that work in a lot of like in real games. It's quite popular in older JRPGs that you can name each member of a party, but they'll still have a personality. They'll still have a story arc. It's just in text, or in audio, they'll avoid saying names.
Yeah, I mean,
I think, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
That's just my personal preference. I know not everybody agrees with that.
yeah,
No, that's fair.
I think it depends on the game and in the context. If it's like a singular protagonist that you name, I don't think it works. But if you just like, if you're able to like, I think it's fine if it's in a case in like Pokemon where you can nickname your Pokemon. If it's something like that, then I'm completely fine with it.
Hmm.
And that's
guess
why I hope with
hadn't
like,
thought about that.
and that's why I like with like XZ and YZ, like with Serena, when they say she has a personality, I'm guessing that also infers that she's going to be talking. It'd be weird if you give a character a personality but they're silent. Unless that is their personality, then that makes sense, but I'm guessing it's not that. I'm hoping then that their name as the player is just Serena.
I don't
I don't
know.
think
I
I've
wouldn't
seen it.
really mind, honestly. I think you can have a personality protagonist that speaks with a name that's a lot of modifiers, but I think I got that all right.
I guess we'll just have to
I
see.
can't really think of why it would
Yeah.
detract from it. As long as you have like a canon name, that means that when you're discussing the game, everyone can talk about Link. Link is a silent protagonist, but he
Yeah.
does have personality, which is funny because that's what Andy just mentioned.
True.
Zelda is a good case of a silent protagonist with personality.
I'm not familiar with the Zelda games, so
You better change that, brother.
Yeah, we'll have to fix that.
dude, my list is long enough as it is, just for episode 1. We are not expanding it anymore.
Nah, it'll be okay.
Yes, we are. Anyways, is there like anything else that we wanted to touch on in terms of like Phoenix Rising or any of our other like really just fun and weird tangents?
Oh, I wanted to quickly clear up about so I was just scrolling the Twitter for XCYZ, and I think it's either an Essentials game or PSDK game. I don't think it's
Is it?
Unity, which makes sense in why it would be more doable. Because if it was Unity, then they'd have to create the whole battle system, which would be absurd.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, they could
I
just
guess
let me
make some
see some-
DSP.
The mapping looks more like
Yeah.
Essentials and stuff like that, but I guess
Yeah,
the,
if you
like,
zoom
renderings
in on the
look-
Yeah.
mapping, you can see the tiles.
Well, because I found one screenshot of like them working on it, which didn't look like ARMXP, and that was mainly when I made my bases off of. Let me see if I can find that post. Here it is. Oh no, they're making it on Game Maker.
On Game Maker? Really?
Yeah, here, let me show you the image. Basically, to describe it to you guys, it's just an image of the map on Game Maker. There's nothing to describe. So yeah, it does
Well,
look
then-
like making it on Game Maker.
That means they'd have
Oh.
to do the battle system
thought
as
I
well.
muted.
I wonder if maybe that's just for maps, or...
I don't know if there's a way to... They have made a game previously, and that's also a good sign with this developer. This is not their first Pokemon fan game project. They did make a Pokemon Essentials project before this, I think. Let me go into their Discord.
Essentials.
So that's why it was especially weird. If it is, Pokemon Essentials, I would not be surprised. I'm only saying that based off of that screenshot. I don't know of any, like, converters from Game Maker to Essentials.
Yeah, I mean, I think just if it's wholly in Game Maker, that's just a very arduous task, because, I mean, people have been trying to
Yeah.
make Pokemon in Unity for, like, literally 10 years now.
Yeah.
True.
There's just a lot of work that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they made a Pokemon fan game called Pokemon New World.
Interesting.
I don't remember that one. I don't think I've seen it.
I don't think it became popular in this space. I mean, I don't even know about it. Let me see if I can...
Sounds like we've all got a new game to play.
Hey.
Let me see if I can find anything about it. I don't think so. Yeah, they have made something in the past, which is a good sign at least for it to be made. In my opinion.
Yeah, most definitely. And I don't know, yeah. They seemed confident enough to do a release date,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
must have something.
Well, hopefully
Hopefully.
they stick to that.
Here's
Hopefully.
open.
Hopefully.
Well, is there any like? I hate to like shut everybody down, but I feel like I gotta getting ready for bed soon. But
No, yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. We've dragged on, about to hit
Yeah.
1.5 hours.
Yeah, I do think we're at a good spot now. So yeah, thank y'all for listening to this week's podcast. I had fun just discussing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
We're-
good.
we all
a good
love to,
podcast,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm also very interested in hearing what y'all have to say who are watching this in these topics. Because our opinion
Yeah,
is
viewers,
not the
yeah.
right opinion, it's just our opinion.
Yep. Just like belly buttons, everybody has one.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd be very interested in hearing what y'all have to say when it comes to XZ, Phoenix Rising, and everything when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Ify, do clones get belly buttons? I don't know. 'Cause they,
Presumably, that we
Well, what if
haven't
it's like a
successfully
test
made
tube
humans. I don't. I mean, this is
'cause
not.
they don't have
Why
Have
are
we
we
ended
bringing
the
this up at the
recording?
end?
Hold on, let's end the recording before we start
Okay.
going into this.
Goodbye, everyone. I hope you had a good time. See you next week.